Hello, welcome. How's it going? I'm Greg Rosner. We're just going to get started in a minute for this workshop, this masterclass. So thank you for joining. Looks like we've got a couple people in the house already. Hello, Andy. Hello, Jack. Welcome. So as we're going to get started here, let's just get acquainted. If you don't mind, type in the comments as you're coming in, as folks are coming in. Type in the comments what kind of business you're in, what type of business you're in. Just type in the comments, what is your business, what is your industry, so we can get acquainted. That would be great. Also, if you could see my screen and you can see like me here waving my hands, just type in, I could see you. Everything is okay. Just want to make sure we're broadcasting right. And Andy, welcome again. Awesome to see you. Great. Regulated medical waste remediation. Very necessary business. Great. Welcome. Hello, Jack. Hello, Vandahar. Welcome. Just so we can get started here, type in the comments what business you're in and also perhaps what state you are coming in from. That would be great. And so I'm going to get started here. Hello, Raleigh. Welcome. Welcome. So this little meme here on your screen is really why I'm doing this masterclass, is because I'm sure you've recognized so much marketing that's being done today. It's just in your face, loud, promotional, pushing how great a product is, and it's not working. It doesn't work anymore. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that does. So to that point, let me just launch a quick poll. Actually, this is a poll I put on LinkedIn recently. The visual design and messaging in your slides, if you have a slide presentation, matters more in virtual or in room. So clearly virtual visuals matter more and messaging matters more because that's what people are paying attention to, but it also matters face-to-face, which is interesting to see. Let's in fact put a poll up on the screen, and as you see this, type in the comments what business you're in. What would you say is your biggest challenge to crushing your 2022 goals? What's your biggest 2022 challenge? Is it nothing standing in your way, unclear sales and marketing message, competition? Perhaps you got really steep competition, or maybe just other priorities that customers have. Type in the comments there, and we will we'll end this poll in just a second. Yeah. So, and also type in the comments what business you're in here, just so we can all get acquainted here. Also, where you're coming in from would be great to hear. All right, so let's end this poll. Yeah, so it looks like other priorities is a big issue. Other priorities customers may have, and unclear sales and marketing message is standing in your way. So you're in the right place here for this. Welcome, welcome, welcome if you're just joining. So if you can, type in the comments here, who is your ideal customer? So this is a masterclass on the 5-part recipe, but you can't even sell anything to anybody until you know exactly who you're selling to. So type in the comments, who is your ideal customer? So don't say something like Fortune 500 companies, because that's just not, I would say defined enough. So type in what's your ICP, another acronym, your ideal customer. Like type that in the comments. So healthcare providers, thank you. So Raleigh, Jack, feel free to type in the comments. Steve, so Raleigh, CEO of a $10 million to $100 million company, great. So could it be like any kind of business? That would be great. Just type it in. So Dan, welcome, welcome, thank you. Steve, hello, welcome. So it looks like Vandahar, insurance and manufacturing companies over 200 million. Great. So that's great. So this five-part recipe is really for CEOs. It's for CEOs who are bringing an innovation to the market, selling an innovation. But there's a catch. The catch here is who gets to say that your product is an innovation? Like if you're screaming out on the mountaintops that your product's an innovation, isn't that kind of like the tuba in that girl's face before? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But this webinar is for CEOs bringing an innovation to the market. It's for business owners who want to attract their ideal customers and double their revenue. And it's for CEOs that really want to align their team so that everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet and really attracting and magnetizing their customers. And I would say dominating their category, really killing it in their own category and becoming a category perhaps of one. So I'm actually going to open the window. It's a bit hot in here. Hold on a quick second, because I don't want to overheat my engine. All right, thanks. It's cold in New York, by the way. So my promise to you is in the next 45 minutes, here's my big promise to you, that we're going to talk about in this masterclass how to simplify your sales message without really losing what makes your solution unique and special. We're going to talk about how to facilitate unforgettable sales presentations without spending a gazillion hours on your slides that perhaps are just leave behind slides that really no one's going to open. We're going to talk about how to stand out in a noisy market, even if your customers don't even know that they need your solution. Like, I'm sure if you're selling an innovation, they're probably not shopping or waking up on what day is today? Waking up on any given Tuesday saying, we need the innovation that you're selling. So how do you stand out really with that kind of sale? So how to get your prospects to own your proposal without having to hire a full-time rock star, chief marketing officer, chief sales officer, or chief revenue officer. And Raleigh, by the way, great to see you here. Thank you. You don't have to keep your camera on. Certainly, if you wanted to keep it off for now, we can put on cameras later if you like. So how to attract ideal customers without wasting a ton of marketing, ton of money on marketing. So this is my promise to you guys here today. All right, a lot of ground to cover. But before we begin, does this sound like you? Just want to welcome a few folks who have joined in the room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Feel free to type in the comments as well. What is your industry and who is your ideal customer? You never know who might be here as well. But before we begin, does this sound like you? You have read some of the best marketing books out there, from Seth Godin, Donald Miller, StoryBrand, Gap Selling Keenan. And you've loved this stuff. This stuff is really good. But if you really look at how or what you've done actually, like practically to apply to your sales presentations, to your homepage, like how have you applied that? So how has it moved from the land of theory to the land of actual reality in your business? Perhaps there's a gap. And if that's you, you're in the right place. Are you also spending money on an agency or a graphics person or a website guy or a social gal, a PPC person? Are you spending money on marketing, and yet you're missing, if you look at the messaging and the words you're using to tell your story, you're missing this single compelling narrative, compelling story that is attracting your ideal customers and growing your business. So you may be missing that. So if that's you, you're in the right place. Do you look at your sales deck, your slides, and do you actually feel embarrassed by perhaps how ugly they are? They look more like math textbooks with diagrams and circles and arrows, but they really aren't compelling. And we saw before that poll how important visuals are in presentations, especially now in virtual presentations that many people are doing. Are you sending out your presentations only to get like crickets back, not really hearing back from people? Are you thinking to yourself, gosh, if they only really knew the power of this innovation that we're selling, it would just be a no-brainer? But they don't know. They don't really get it. So are you also looking at your competition? And it could be competition in terms of the noise in the market. They're not really direct competition, but other inferior products, inferior solutions, services are winning. And you're seeing them out there winning. And that's frustrating, even though they don't have as good a product or solution as you have. You're in the right place for this masterclass. Also, if you look at the words that you're actually have on your website, if you want, pull up your website now, pull up your homepage. Look at the words that you have on your homepage. If you're using words like this, like software platform drives transparent, data-driven decisions, this kind of language doesn't mean anything to anyone, sadly. But if you have language like this on your homepage, you are in the right place. Here's another example. creating innovative workflow technologies that drive high reliability. There's an example of a bad homepage where above the fold here, they're saying words that are putting people's brains to sleep. So if that's you, if you have some language like that on your homepage, you're in the right place. Is your if your solution is sophisticated, if every deal you're selling is complicated or complex, several buyers, long sales cycle, every customer is unique, every value proposition is customized, and every deployment needs to be configured for that customer, you're in the right place because you're probably thinking, if all of that is true, how could our message be simple? How could our narrative about what we're selling be simple in 3 words or 1 sentence? So you're in the right place. If you're ever hearing this from people that after they meet with you, even in a restaurant or even in a sales presentation on Zoom, they say, I like what you're saying, but we didn't get that at all from your website, then you are in the right place. If you look at the salespeople you have, are some of them saying that we're the best or we're the only? There's a lot of things wrong with this, by the way, to have salespeople saying we're the best and we're the only, because by the way, that's only about you, not about your customer. But even worse than this is you've got salespeople with different stories, different messages, and it's conflating a really bad problem, which is self-centric marketing. And of course, lastly, are you looking at your pipeline and it perhaps is growing, but closed deals are stagnated or not growing as much as you like? You're all in the right place. But the big question here is that the right place? No, there's good news. This is what I wanted to say. There's good news. The good news is that those are symptoms of a bigger problem. And that bigger problem is that you haven't been using the right recipe. And, Pitch Kitchen, I like to say that I built this company to help cook up better stories, better websites, better presentations. And so I'll be talking a little bit about this 5-part recipe that if you use this, you will totally knock it out of the park. But once you actually use this recipe and use this, you'll have complete confidence in every dollar that you spend on marketing. You will double the close rate while speeding up qualifications of your pipeline. Your leadership team and sales team will be fully aligned. I know it's a big promise, but once you make this change with this recipe, you will. Your Zoom meetings will be unforgettable. They'll leave your prospects talking instead of you. And you'll be able to retap the joy of, well, why did you create this innovation in the first place? So it's really important to make these changes. It'll really shift your whole business around. So before I do, just real quick about me, but maybe I want to ask a question to you here about innovation. We talked before about who gets to say that your solution is innovative. Who really gets to say that? Do you get to say that your solution is innovative or revolutionary? Do you really have the authority to say that? Who gets to make that judgment about your solution? Do you do? Do your customers do? Does your marketing team does? Well, of course, most marketing teams publish content that says their solution is breakthrough, revolutionary. And my claim is that they're doing it wrong because that doesn't resonate with customers. But yeah, no, most people here are saying customers do. That makes sense. So a little bit about who am I? So I've spent a whole career in selling complex solutions to enterprise companies. And that looked like, several month process, I would say hundreds of thousands of dollar deals involving more than 4 to 8 people and very complicated, involved sales presentations and demos and all the like. And I've seen a pattern of what was working, what doesn't work. And I can tell you what didn't work was using the slide decks that you get from marketing, that I got from marketing, which was just a lot of self-centric, promotional, how great our product is, how great our solution is, when we're founded, where our offices are. Here's the list of all our logos, something that maybe an investor would care about, but customers did not care about it. So I went off and started designing sales presentations that were much more compelling, I would say much more conversational based, and they were winning. So I started the side hustle, Pitch Kitchen, and it became a full-time business. And right now we are just exploding with growth. And I am grateful to be sharing with you this recipe that we're using and our customers are using here today in this masterclass. So there's a special offer to folks here that have joined this that you can get at the end of this webinar. So stay tuned. Hopefully you can do that. All right, so the 5-part recipe. Let us jump into the content here. So number one, I'd like to say the first part of this recipe is to lead a rebellion. And this gets to your why, your purpose, but it has a certain angle on this. So if you're selling an innovation in the market, what are you rebelling against? Type in the comments here, what are you rebelling against in your industry? You should know this. You're probably doing this every day. What are you rebelling against? What do you stand for that you're selling an innovation that helps people be better, do something better in their business? You're rebelling against something. Type in the comments. We'd love to see what you think you are rebelling against. Because your real competitor, if you think, is your customer's fear of change. They're doing something a certain way. They've invested their time, their money, their effort, their business in doing it a certain way. And here you come with your fancy solution that is an innovation in your view. So you must be rebelling against something. Type in the comments. So Vandahar, old technology, lack of efficiency. Love that. Raleigh, complacent managers. Yeah, so you're rebelling against that. That is what's holding your customers back from succeeding. That's great. So every great CEO espouses a contrarian technology, from Steve Jobs, Mark Benioff. They all espouse, well, even what's her name that's in jail now, Elizabeth Holmes, espoused a contrarian technology, but she was lying, right? So you guys are probably not lying with your innovation. Your innovation probably works and is showing amazing results. So if that's you, you should be espousing a contrarian ideology. So this idea of a game over narrative said, look, the world has changed. And if you're still playing the game the way the world was yesterday or last year in the 2010s, then you're not going to survive much longer. The businesses that are winning are doing it this new way. And by the way, our solution helps you win that game. So that's what the game over narrative is. And that is essentially leading a rebellion. Simon Sinek, love the guy. In order to stand out, we have to know what we stand for. So what do you stand for? Udi from Gong, this is at least $1 billion business. Being polarizing is great for business. So when you're leading a rebellion, this is the first part of the recipe, you are being polarizing and putting your flag in the ground to say, this is what you need to do. So let's look at some successful social narratives and advertising narratives that have been wildly successful. You know what Nike does? Just do it. You know, the Wall Street Journal, trust your source, because that's how you're making business decisions, is reading information. You might as well read it from the Wall Street Journal. That's a very keyed up narrative in 3 words. Donald Trump used those 4 words to get him elected president. I'm not a fan, but I'm a great fan of great marketing. And that's one piece of telling the story in 4 words. Find your beach. I love that. If you know what that is, type in the comments where that 3-word rebellion is coming from. It's from a brand. You drink it, by the way. Partner with Patience is from a company that sells services to pharmaceutical companies. You know Simon Sinek, Start With Why. Own Your Tomorrow, Charles Schwab, Patience Before Paper, Medicine X. What all of these have in common is they are essentially leading rebellion for their customers to point to the promised land, point to a better place. So what's your rally cry? If you know what this is, what's your thing that you're calling your customers to do? In just a few words, could be 3 words, could be 4. Type in the comments if you know what your rally cry is. It could be your tagline, but sadly, most taglines have to be with how our product is great. We're the best. We're number 1. But nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. What do people care about? In fact, type that in the comments. What do your customers really care about? Type that in the comments. Yeah, invest in people. I like that. Invest is a verb. Thank you, Raleigh. Invest in people. Small change, big impact. I like that. That speaks to small change, big impact, the effect of what they will do. That's good. Mandy, what I think that's almost speaks about it from a spectator point it doesn't really call like with a verb, like you need to do this in order so you can be successful. So I'd make a small tweak on that, but that's great. All right. So the promised land is the place that you were describing in your homepage, on your marketing, in your sales presentation, that is describing where you're taking your people, your customers. These are the people you're serving, that you're earning your living from. But you need to be describing what that promised land is in your marketing. And that is simply a world where. So look at what Gong does. They describe their promised land, a world where you're making your decisions for your sales team on the reality, on your sales, on reality, not opinions. So goodbye opinions, old world, hello reality, new world. Behavior science technology, old world, stop delivering at any cost, because that is what their customers were doing to survive. But the new way is to start cost-effective delivery. And by the way, BST, behavior science technology, sells software that helps make that change. ReadyWorks, old way, checklists. Everyone could relate to that checklist piece of paper with signatures. That is the old way. The new way is smart forms, and the organizations, the hospitals that are doing this are winning. The hospitals that are doing checklists are losing. In fact, here's a note from Kimberly Taberman. She's the CEO of Medicine X. And just a quick note about her, she was leading a team of 12, could not differentiate. Their customers could not differentiate what they were selling from their competitors, failing to book new conversations, missing sales targets, and really embarrassed by the homepage. The homepage is being finished now, but essentially it speaks to the future state that they're taking their customers to, which is pharmaceutical companies, how they're going to help them make patients partners. And so you can see some text here from that. So after make your patients partners is the messaging they used in their platform, totally confident about the story and the marketing. This is the rebellion that they're making here, that she's making, and it is totally winning. So my point here is that if you believe you're selling an innovation, but you are not leading a rebellion against the status quo, I like to say you're just a follower in a sideshow. It isn't really magnetizing and attracting your customers. So if that makes sense, lead a rebellion, type in the comments, makes sense. All right. If that makes sense, type in makes sense. And we'll get started with number 2. Awesome. The second part recipe here is start with the problem. So why start with the problem? Everyone likes to sell their innovation. So why are we starting with the problem? How did that happen? QR code. All right. So if you're selling an innovation, I guess a question here is, what is your homepage in love with? So if you look at your homepage now, type in the comments here, what is your homepage in love with? Is it in love with your solution, or is it in love with the problem that your customers have and prescribes a way that they can overcome that problem? And it's either or, it's one or the other. So to start with the problem is the second part of the recipe, because nobody really cares about your why. Simon Sinek says start with your why, but nobody cares about it. People really care about, what do they care about? Your customers care about their own goals, their own problems. They don't really care about that your company started 50 years ago, your grandfather created the company. Nobody cares about that. Maybe a great story for you, for your friends, for the people who work in the company, but your customers don't care. And if you say that your product is revolutionary or breakthrough, people don't believe that, because people believe in the things they themselves decide, not the things that you tell them. All right. So myth number 1 I want to bust is promoting your solution doesn't end in selling it. And this is what I've learned on my own skin in selling for many years. And so part of this recipe, that part number 2, start with the problem, is the reason why we do that in that recipe. Demoing the solution doesn't convince anyone of anything. Some people think, oh, let me just show you. Seeing is believing. Let me show you how it works and you're going to love it. But I know this. If you know this, if you're selling a solution, you'll know the last 10 demos you did, if that was true, then everyone that you sold that demo to would have purchased. And so type in the comments here, tell me in the last 10 demos, how many out of 10 did you sell? Is it 1 out of 10? Is it 5 out of 10? If it's 10 out of 10, then you will have proved me wrong. That demoing the solution 10 out of 10 times will actually convince people of something. Myth number 3 is people don't really buy to obtain goals. So too much messaging on homepages and sales presentation is about how our solution is going to help you attain the goal. The reality is that's a myth. You don't do that for a successful sale. People buy to overcome problems or because their problem has become untenable. On any given day, or like on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock, they've decided that, you know what, I can no longer live with the way things are. I need to make a change. Because it's more about living with the way things are, it becomes untenable. That is why people buy. If you talk to anybody who spent a career in selling, they'll tell you that that is the truth. They may justify it by saying, yes, we want to obtain goals, but the real reason is they want to avoid the catastrophe, which is their current state. So to this point, if you could, in starting with the problem, describe in words on your homepage and in your sales presentation, their problem better, clearer, more factual than they can even describe it themselves, they'll be like, wow, you really get us. You really understand our problem. And because you've done that so well, they will believe automatically that you have the best solution, almost as if a doctor was looking at your blood panel or your x-ray and was asking you questions like, do you wake up at 2 in the morning or 3 with feeling, some pain in your shoulder? And you're like, well, yeah, how did you know that? Well, because they really understand your problem and they're asking questions and confirming that. So here's an example of a before. This is a website homepage that starts with the solution, creating innovative workflow technologies that drive high reliability, and it does nothing to attract customers. The after is a homepage that has sections on it, has copy that speaks to the problem and speaks to the transformation of how they're going to get hospitals going to get from a place today where they're dealing with paper and checklists to a place in the future they want to be dealing with, with smart forms much faster. They're going to be spending more time with patients instead of paper, which is a real problem for these hospitals. So I wanted to show you this because this is an example of that. And this is why messaging like this works so much better to magnetize and attract your ideal customer. Smart hospitals use smart forms. So you can say, well, a goal of a hospital is to become a smart hospital, but they're realizing that the biggest problem is that they're spending time with paper and not patients. And that is the problem. All right, so if this makes sense, what we talked about here, starting with the problem and really focusing on that with your messaging on your homepage and in your sales deck, type in the comments, makes sense. Would love to hear from you. Does that make sense? Yes, makes sense. Makes sense. All right, awesome. All right, 5-part recipe. Number 3, use the secret weapon. So here's the secret weapon, and I've been using this word a lot in this webinar, and it's magnetize. And so you know what a magnet does? It attracts. And if you're using the right messaging in a platform for your sales presentation, on your homepage, in the story you're telling, in your narrative, in your hashtag, you're going to be attracting your ideal customers because it's almost like an attraction. They get that you get them. And so that's why it's important. And if you look at why magnetic messaging needs to work, because this picture here of the tuba and the girl's face is not magnetic messaging. This is the opposite. This is promotional marketing. This is screaming louder about your solution, spending money on marketing that is not turning into sales. If you have salespeople using messaging that's not magnetic, and we're going to talk about what this magnetic messaging platform is all about, then you're wasting money on marketing with your PPC ads, with your emails that go out, with your, your newsletters, your flyers, your sheets, your events that you're creating marketing material on, everything. So promotional marketing doesn't work. So a magnetic messaging platform has three components. The first is a one page. Imagine that, a one page brand script. As Donald Miller from StoryBrand calls it, a brand script. I love that term. It's a brand script that informs every piece of content that you'll ever produce for anything, and that essentially calls your customer to the change that they already want. So if you have to convince people that they want something, I can tell you as a seller for many, many years that that doesn't work. That's like, if you're in the missionary business, you're trying to convert people to a religion, unless they want to convert, they're not going to. So the one-page brand script needs to map out the whole transformation story that they already want to get to. The second part is a homepage that has all 10 elements of a highly converting homepage. And in this webinar, we're going to go through those 10 elements. So you should do like a check. Does my homepage have these 10 elements? And if it's missing one of them or 9 of them, you need to add them, because these 10 elements are critical. They've shown to create a highly converting homepage that essentially makes your customer the hero of the story, not your solution. And the third part is a sales deck. And yes, a slide deck. And a lot of people don't like slides decks. A lot of people say slide decks are terrible, they don't work. But they only don't work because they're doing them wrong. They're terrible. They're math books. They're not really visual guides, visual discovery guides that really allow for you to have breakthrough conversations with your customers, to set up the demo or to set up the sale in a way that gets them to want to make the change. So we're going to be talking about in this workshop the 12 conversations that we have discovered from literally doing thousands of sales presentations that need to be there in order to guarantee a sale. If you have all 12 of these conversations and basically get thumbs up on each of them, you will close every deal. So we're going to talk about those 12 in this. So we like to say your story is your strategy, because it's everything you do in your business is really about the messaging. What's your story? What is your story? So the old way that a lot of businesses approached their presentation was, they created a 20-page slide deck with page numbers, with white backgrounds, one slide with 8 bullets, and that doesn't work today in this world. People will just say, send me that. And then they'll say they won't even look at it because they'll just look at your homepage. And then they'll realize that what's on your homepage is just a carbon copy of what's in the slide deck, and it's totally useless. So the new way is sparse text, choose your own adventure, the guided discovery that enables you having the right conversations. And there's really 12 of them we're going to be talking about, where each slide is a bullet point, instead of one slide with 8 bullet points. So you want to think about your slide deck here as conversations. Each slide is a conversation. You should think about, well, what are the conversations that I need to have, or we need to have with our customers, and write them down. We need to have a trust conversation. We need to have how it works conversation. We need to have a problem conversation. We need to have a goals conversation. We need to have a conversation about how we're going to help you implement this. We're going to have a conversation about how other customers have done it. You see what I'm doing here? You'll realize that there are several conversations that need to happen in order for you to make a sale. Write those conversations down, title them, and design slides for that. If that makes sense, by the way, type in the comments, makes sense. I want to make sure you guys are still tracking here. But how do you really know is a slide for behavior science technology uses? This is a beautiful slide because it's full of question marks, and it's a slide that's asking a question like, how are you today measuring engagement? How are you measuring profitability? How are you measuring cost of retention? And you ask the question as a seller, how are you doing this today? Because what that does is it gets the customer to be thinking, their prospect to be thinking, come to think of it, how do I do this? I don't really know this. So, it gets them to a place where the ground is actually fertile for you to be selling something. But if you're selling an innovation and they don't even know that they need it, you need to be having this kind of conversation in your sales presentation. So I like to say, turn your presentation into a collaboration because it's not about you talking, it's about you asking questions. So I here put up on the screen the 12 essential conversations, which by the way is coming out in a book that I'm writing. And this is born out of literally doing thousands of sales presentations. These are the 12. And there's a 13th conversation, by the way, that doesn't have a slide. And that is a conversation that usually happens in the beginning. And that's rapport, talking about the weather, talking about, how bad was your COVID? By now, everyone probably has had COVID. And some of us didn't make it. My father's wife didn't make it, sadly, but that's something to talk about. It's something to create common ground. So rapport building is an essential conversation. That's not on this list, but all the others are on this list. And this is critical to make sure you cover those bases. So the old way is where you're the hero of the story in your messaging. The new way is you are the helper of the hero. Clear contrast, right? If that makes sense, type in makes sense. So bad news. Some of you here aren't going to make it. And that is just a sad thing, but it's true. In spite of the money that you're spending on marketing and selling, it's a matter of fact. 50% startups fail by year 4. And I would argue the best product, the best solution does not win. It is the clearest message, the clearest story that does win in your sales presentation, in your marketing, on your homepage. If you think that's true, type in the comments, true. Just let me see true in the comments. Is that true? The best product doesn't win. It's the clearest story that wins. You can probably think of some shitty products that have won, and they won because perhaps their story was really clear. So your marketing, the old way is to use expensive agencies that use jargon and buzzwords and personas, which telling a story about how great your solution is. That doesn't work anymore. The new way is using visuals and verbs, action-oriented, like this is how you do it. Do this. This is how. Directional, functional, coaching kind of marketing that connects emotionally. Visuals that are emotional. Telling a story about how great your customer can be. Your homepage, the old way, was pretty and expensive brochure about us. The new way, it's a functional plan about how you're going to help your customers get from where they are today to where they want to go. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. This is a poll I put up on LinkedIn. What's more important for your homepage and actually getting customers? And messaging came out as number one.
Sorry, could you say that again? Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Okay, Siri, calm down. Anyway, so all of these are important. Design, messaging are important. Some people don't need customers. I don't know how that is. Good luck. Every word on your homepage is written in a voice. So if you pull up your homepage right now, whose voice is your homepage in? Is it a voice where saying that we're the best? Is that the voice? Or look at your homepage now. Be honest. Type in the comments. Be honest. Is your homepage voice saying we will make you better? Type in the comments. What's the voice? We're the best, or we make you better? And it's okay if you today you're typing in the comments we were the best, because you're in the right place. You're gonna change that. You're gonna change the voice, the narrative, the story that your marketing is in, and this is part of using the secret weapon. Great. We make you better. We make you better. We only talk in long technology jargon. Yeah, sadly that happens. But that doesn't really resonate. I call them $10 words. So let's go through the 10 elements of a highly converting homepage. So this is really important. So the first element, the top of the web page, has to be their aspiration, not about how great your product is, what they want to achieve, so that they know when they come to your homepage, the first thing, am I in the right place? Are you going to help me? Right as they scroll down, they want to see do you understand my problem? Do you understand my problem here? And then I want to say, well, who are you? What's your credibility? What's your authority? Then I want to see what your solution is. Then I want to see, how does it work? Okay. Then I want to see, what is the social proof? Show me more of that. Are people happy? Are they successful using your solution? Then I want to see what's the plan that gets me from, do I subscribe? Do I sign up? Do I buy? Like, what's my first step? And then what's my third step? And if you show me a 19-step plan, I'm going to run for the hills because it's too complicated. Simple plan to get me to success. But let's say I'm not interested in booking a meeting or subscribing. Is there anything else I can do? I can learn more and socialize it with my CEO. So I will want to see a download of some information, some top 3 reasons why, or some kind of, not a white paper necessarily, but a document that helps me socialize why I need to make a change in exchange for giving you my email. And a call to action. Is it to see a demo? We'll talk about different compelling calls to actions, what works and what doesn't work.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Oh my gosh.
My apologies. I couldn't hear what you said.
Oh my gosh. I love robots. Speaking of number 10, bots are great. Siri's great. Alexa's great. We all love you, robots, whatever. The 2022, we're seeing a trend to remove the contact form, believe it or not, on the homepage. Instead, it's either a chatbot, scheduler, or just a box to book, select your time for a demo or select your time. So it removes this extra step of putting in your information, my first name, my last name, my company name, my title. It removes that completely, and it just goes to booking the time, select 8 o'clock on a Tuesday, and then there's like a couple questions that are asked in a very natural form, conversational form, instead of a long like paper form like we did in the 1990s. So this is like new, by the way. So definitely change your homepage for that new approach, much more effective, especially in the high-tech world. Call to action, we're seeing a change to this learn more call to action or get started calls to action or see demo are not as effective as very specific calls to action, like get your impact assessment or get expert recommendations. That's more effective because it is, again, it's a functional, this is the first step for you to change what you're doing and become better. Instead of the left side is this is the first step for you to buy, which, by the way, I'm selling. I want to sell. And if you want to buy, you can click here, buy now. That doesn't work. That old way of selling doesn't work. The new way is becoming more of the guide as the seller, guide to the hero. Talk about partner selling. You are a partner standing shoulder to shoulder with your customer, helping them make the change instead of an adversary selling across the table. If that makes sense, type in makes sense. I learned a lot of this stuff that we apply for our customers from like Chris Voss, great book, by the way, Never Split the Difference. Another great book I want to recommend, Gap Selling by Keenan, speaks about this gap and how really what you're selling is that change. So definitely some great book recommendations there. Here's an example of a really bad homepage that focuses on the solution and even uses like an image of like a brain with semiconductors. It's terrible. And it doesn't say anything. What is this company selling? Innovation and excellence? Like what?
Sorry, could you say that again? Sorry.
Okay.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
All right. But, if you've probably seen a lot of websites that look like this, and they're totally wasting money and wasting time, sadly. And we're going to lose deals, lose opportunities because of that. No, this is what that same company looks like after they use this recipe. And it's totally clear. Like even their logo, it's like a heart that's getting recognized. This is a company that sells emotional artificial intelligence that helps doctors cue into the emotional state of their patients and provides a report at the end of the telemedicine encounter. How cool is that? But you would never get that from looking at this. How do you just don't. So you see what I mean by this is clear, it's emotional. It says give doctors superpowers. It speaks to what that transformation is. And then speaking about transformation, turn virtual checkups into deeply insightful interactions. So it speaks of that transformation story. So we just talked about the secret weapon here, and we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes. And we call it this magnetic messaging platform that has these 3 elements. And we just went through them. It's a brand script. It's a homepage that has those 10 elements, and it's a discovery guide that touches all the 12 conversations you need to have. All right. So I think we looked at this. We looked at that. Let's get to the fourth part of the recipe, which is sell the change. So a lot of people think that, and a lot of sellers think, well, what's your job as a salesperson? What are you doing? Type in the comments here. What's the job of a salesperson? Type in the comments. What is the job of a salesperson? Sell a product, right? But my theory is sell a product, to sell a product, sell a solution, to understand customers, build relationships. Yes. But my belief, and this is what I think is the fourth part of the recipe, what we've seen is you need to be selling the change to your customers. How do you get your customer to own your proposal? So when they get your proposal for the solution, they own it because they have really been stepped through what that change looks like. So I think that the job of a salesperson is to influence change, to influence and to promote the change as a guide to the hero of the story. So Lion King got Rafiki, and we've got Simba. Great story, classic archetypal story, hero's journey. Another great book, Hero of a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell. Your customers are the hero of their own story. Yes, you're the hero of your story too. But if you're selling something to someone, you play the role of a guide, helping them become the hero. So this fourth part, you're selling change. You're selling them on the scary notion of changing what they're doing today, which they've invested money, time, employees, their whole process of doing things the way they're doing in their current state. And so you need to have conversations with them about what they're doing today, as well as having conversations about what they would like to do. And your job in selling is to sell your solution as a midway stop between where they are today and where they want to go. So I like to say what you're selling is a movement. And to go back to the Leader Rebellion, that makes sense, right? It makes sense if you're selling an innovative solution, that your job as a seller is to influence that movement from where they are to where they want to go. If this is too theoretical, I'm sorry, but it should really make sense to you if you are selling innovation. Type in the comments so that I make sure you're with me here. Does this make sense? Type in the word movement if this makes sense. That's what you're really selling, is movement. Type in movement. Let me see. Yes. Yes, movement. So you want to get a that's right. And that's where Chris Voss talks about tactical empathy in his book. You want to get a that's right, because if you're empathizing with where your customers are today with their current state, and you're describing to them, well, you can really achieve this goal and really avoid these problems if we can help you with step 1, step 2, step 3. That's what you're really selling, this movement. And if you get a that's right, that's what we want, you could really help us get there. You've won the deal. And while that's one of the 12 conversations, that's a critical one. This is an example of a slide from behavior science technology I wanted to show you in this masterclass. And what's beautiful about this slide is it facilitates a conversation about the goals that the customer has. So it starts by saying, well, we've done a little bit of research about your organization. You have about 22 RBAs and 181 RTs. And of course, you don't know what that is, but their customers know what it is. But we've done a little bit of research. We know this is about the size and shape of your organization. And let me share with you now, these are the typical goals that customers like you, they're trying to achieve. So I would say, which of these goals is most important to you? So that they look at this slide like, holy smokes, you understand me. If they don't, if they're like, I don't have any of these goals, then maybe you're presenting to the wrong person. But if you get a check on this slide, yeah, these are our goals. This is what we want to achieve. And by the way, can you guys really deliver real-time performance data? That's a great interaction to have. That's a great conversation. You say, we're going to get to that. Right now, we're talking about your goals. So the point here is you want to stop telling in your presentation, and each of your slides you want to be asking. Here's an example of the problem conversation slide where you can say these are the typical challenges that organizations like you have. And I have them in quotes because this is what we're hearing. Do any of these resonate with you? And if so, why? Or which one of these resonates most with you? Very powerful. This is a conversation to have to get them to open up about some of their challenges. Really effective. And also, it's visually easy. And this is an example of a slide that speaks to the plan. So if you're not having a conversation about the plan of exactly how they're going to get from where they are today, stuck, to where they want to go to, in this case, step 3, operate with meaningful data. Oh, how do we get there? How do we get to that nirvana, to that promised land where we want to operate with meaningful data? How do we do that? Well, it's going to take about 4 months. And this is exactly how we do it. If you can present your plan so clearly, so effectively, this is really what's compelling for customers to get over their fear. So you can influence that change, that movement from where they are stuck today to where they would like to go, but they're afraid. They can't. There's too much at risk. Too much can go wrong. And getting really clear about this movement is really what will help. All right. So if that makes sense, type in the comments, makes sense, just to see you guys are with me. And we're going to get to the last piece here. Invest in expert help. So this is a part of the recipe because CEOs like the ones I've mentioned and others have done this. And we've had the privilege to work with many CEOs and have also honored to get a great rating on LinkedIn for helping these CEOs deploy these recipes. Because if you're inside the solution every day, you're trying to make your product the best product out there, the best solution out there. It's hard. It really is hard to see freshly what should be on the outside of the label. What do customers really think and feel and see? You can do this, but having some coach to help you stand shoulder to shoulder and look outside your solution really helps. So having this outsider also helps enroll the people you're relying on every day to deploy your solution, to sell your solution, to build your solution. Involving them in the narrative process is critical because when you're done with it, you didn't just hire an outsider to help to go on the mountaintop and come down with the 10 commandments, but you actually got the story from and got the gold from the insights that your people you rely on every day to talk to your customers. So I'd like to say take a sales approach to marketing. So don't hire a marketer, hire a sales enabler. Because I think most marketers that are selling marketing services today doesn't work. It just doesn't. It fails. And I actually think it's pretty easy to create great marketing because I see so much bad marketing out there that it's very easy to kill it. Because the biggest threat to sales is distraction. And we talked about how the biggest product doesn't work. The best product doesn't win. This is just a couple examples of like a before and after slide. This is an example of a white background slide that doesn't work. This is an example of a slide that does work. Just visually makes so much more sense. You can totally understand how you might navigate in a slide like this. All right, so that was the 5-part recipe. My promise to you guys in this was to talk about how to simplify the message, create unforgettable sales presentations, to stand out in a noisy market, get your prospects to own the proposal you're sending because you've taken them through the journey and you've magnetized them to take this journey with you. And how to attract ideal customers without wasting a ton of money on marketing. So that was my promise to you. Now you guys have a choice. You have a choice to make, and you could continue to stay in this realm that you are now, or you can move to this place of clarity. And what would that do for your business? Just think about that. What would it do for your business if your homepage, if your sales deck, and every bit of marketing that you did, your messaging was magnetizing and attracting your ideal customers and moving them along the sales process with haste. And
My apologies. I couldn't hear what you said. Sorry. Could you say that again?
And I'd like to say here, would you be okay if nothing changes? Would you be okay with that? And if so, I respect that. But here's what I have for you if you want to make a change. What I have for you is, I'm going to go to that in a minute.
What was cool about
a couple of testimonials. This is what I have for you. In the next 72 hours, I've set aside really 5 sessions, 30-minute calls to really dive into your messaging and give you some advice, as well as take a look at what you're using and discuss how this recipe can be applied to your business, to review your sales goals and to really together come up with a game plan of getting it done. There's the link, getsalesenabled.youcanbook.me. When you click that link, it'll take you to selecting a time, and then it'll have a few questions just so that I can prepare for this. And it's just me that's having this call with you. So I'm not opening this up to everybody. It's just you guys that are here. So you can certainly take advantage of this. This is absolutely free, absolutely free. But there's a catch. The catch is this. This is for CEOs. This is not for just folks who really don't own the business, aren't hands-on investors. This is not for you. So please don't book a call if it's not you. Also, please don't book a call if you're just wanted to put lipstick on your existing marketing. This is representing using this recipe as a fundamental change to your marketing approach. And it's also for CEOs that want to align their team and grow revenue versus really just staying in the thinking mode and brainstorming. I really want to work with CEOs who want to take action and not just read another book and talk theoretically. And so why am I doing this? I'm doing this because if you really look at my background, I have graduated from the best art school in the world in New York called the Cooper Union School of Art. And if you look at the sales experience that I had after that, really bleeding in the battlefield of selling $1 million deals to enterprises, all the experience that I had, plus combined with my natural talents of selling, has put me in a position to really be one of the few people on the planet that really know how to apply this recipe for CEOs that want to take control of their category, bring an innovation to market. And so that's why I'm doing it. I'm driven to do this, and that's why I'm doing it. So if that's you, please book a call at getsalesenabled.youcanbook.me. And I have to say one thing as well. I have a picture of a bed here because I think if you do book a call with me, you'll be in a situation where you'll never be able to look at your website and your sales presentation the same way again. If you're not ready to actually look at that differently, then please don't book a call, because this is pretty shocking. And it's also not shocking if you're a marketer, or sorry, not a marketer, if you're working with a marketer now and you have a meeting with me and we talk about what you need to be doing, you may ruin that relationship, because you may go to your marketer and say, this is what I want to do. They're going to say, oh, I can do that. That's a great idea. Let's do that. But they didn't do that. So does that mean that they can do it, or they want to do it? They know how to do it? I would argue that maybe they don't know how to do it, but they want to do it. So maybe they can read a book and figure it out, but that's a big risk. Anyway, that's how I'd love to help you. If you guys wanted to get some help, please book your slot. If you have any questions, type in the questions in the comments now. We'd love to answer some of your questions. Okay, great. So Raleigh, you're not the decision maker, executive coach. Okay, great. Well, thanks for letting me know. Any questions? Just type in the comments questions about this five-part piece. And as you're typing your questions, let's hear from Behavior Science Tech and then ReadyWorks. Here's a quick clip here. Let's.
It's interesting.
What did she say here?
So I found that to be really rewarding, very, very enjoyable process.
Well, she just said it's enjoyable process.
Really helped articulate. Not that we did anything wrong with the product. And it's interesting enough that even looking back, it's not like I'm changing the product to do it. It's basically how I'm talking about what this means to you. You know,
So if you have any questions, type in the questions. That would be great to answer. Here's a quick clip from
We're light years ahead of where we would have been.
from ReadyWorks. Let's present this.
We're light years ahead of where we would have been had we just done it ourselves. Like everyone on our team, you know, has graphic design experience, has website experience. Like we could have done something ourselves, but our resources were spread so thin. So that was the first thing, is that I think Pitch Kitchen really leapfrogged us.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to bore you too much with that, but you know, there are CEOs that are bringing innovation to market, and we were privileged and honored to help them apply this recipe. Would love to work with you. Please take advantage of that. If not, I hope you can take what you learned in this masterclass and run with it. Be successful. Go out there and lead a rebellion. Start with the problem. Use the secret weapon, and sell the change. Sell the change and get expert help if you can. Thanks so much for joining this webinar, and we'll be in touch. Be good.